Today we're going to be taking a look at the Plasma 5.24 beta, and we're a couple days late, but it is testing software. It's going to contain bugs, so I'm pretty sure that the final release is going to be more interesting and worth taking a deeper look into once that comes out, which, by the way, is going to be on the 8th of February. So I'm going to be making a full review on it once it releases. But until then, like I said, we're just going to be taking a look at some of the main new features here. And I'm on the default website here. I'm going to link to it in the description so you guys can check it out as well and read some of this in bigger detail. I'm just going to give a quick skim through some of the new features here because there's a decent amount. It's worth noting, by the way, that this is pretty nicely presented. I'm liking what KDE has been doing with, the way that they're presenting their new releases. It's pretty nice. Although it's pretty interesting here how this time, I don't know if they've done this with previous releases, but they give you the link to see the change logs of some of these updates here. So in terms of the Breeze application style, they've made a couple notable changes, adding a feature such as accent colors, which I know it's a feature that macOS has, and Deepin added it like a year or two ago, and now Plasma has it, and that's a nice touch in terms of customization and whatnot. And of course, they've taken on the initiative of being more consistent. And so that applies to focus effects, text fields, checkboxes, radio buttons. I'll be showing examples of that, but now there's more consistency across the board. And also in terms of their naming conventions, now there's pretty much just Breeze Light and Breeze Dark. That's what they've been focusing on for the past couple of releases. But Breeze Classic, the old one where the title bar right here would be gray, that one is Breeze Classic, and I'll give some opinions about that as well. They've done some changes to the notifications. If there's some sort of warning or something that's urgent, there's like a orange strip on the side, as well as other updates on that. And then for the system tray, for the Plasma password manager, there's it has a more modern style now. And just plenty of differences here. There's so many differences. Of course, the beta is going to be buggy, but there's been so much focus. If you follow Nate's blog and keep up with the updates, there's been so many bug fixes. It's crazy. And also, I don't know if it's going to be this release or the next one, but the Mtp support is going to be improved. So, when you plug in your phone and you want to transfer some images, there's going to be definitely some improvements with using that. Unfortunately, I won't be testing that out for this video, but once the actual release comes, I'm going to give a more thorough look at everything. So one big feature that is very nice and anticipated is the overview effect. You could call it GNOME, if you will, because this is a beloved type of effect in GNOME. I actually don't know if it's called the same thing, but now we have it in KDE Plasma, and it looks pretty good, might I say. So we'll be taking a look at that as well. And of course, with every new release, there's more and more support for Wayland. The one interesting thing that I want to give my opinion on when it comes to the official announcement and the website is downloading this thing. So here at the bottom, they give you these options: source downloads, package downloads, live images. I think, considering that KDE Neon is kind of like the flagship of showcasing Plasma, I think they should just give you a direct just download link, and you know, for the beginners and people who aren't so tech savvy, just give like a big green download button to let you download it. Because if we click on one of these, you know, it tells you which ones ship Plasma 5.24 beta. Currently, I am on the KDE Neon Testing Edition. I think they should just link a download link to that. But it's nice that they give you the options here. Anyway, moving along, let's actually take a look at this thing. So this is the new default wallpaper. I really like it. It's definitely, it has that Plasma feel, if you know what I mean. And the colors are pretty nice as well. So good job on the wallpaper here. Now, if we go into the system settings, want to take a look at that accent color that they've been talking about. Oh, also when it comes to consistency, if we open up some things here, there we go. So you can see the check boxes, you can see the sliders, and if we open kickoff here, you can see with the selection, also the menus with their selection, you can see there's a lot of consistency in everything. And if we open up Dolphin, on the other hand, you can see how this, as opposed to the menus, there's kind of like, don't know how exactly to describe the selection, but you can see it kind of has like a border around it. This one's just a solid color. So that's kind of like an example of adding more consistency across the field. Which, speaking of that, one thing that a lot of users want to see that's still missing is the fact that there's a blue line over here. And a lot of these applications, there's like this grid, but apparently it's really difficult to remove. So we're gonna have to still wait on that one. Alright, so let me showcase some of the blur here. I'm gonna enable the settings. So when it comes to breeze, again, like they mentioned, there's primarily breeze light and breeze dark. I, by the way, still don't like the default colors for the dark theme. I don't know, something about them. I just feel like they should overhaul the dark theme. Not the biggest fan of it. And then there's Breeze Classic. One thing that's kind of disappointing with, really, I mean, it's an official color scheme that one would expect to be there, is the fact that this color scheme isn't really even supported. I mean, if you look at Breeze Light, you see how it draws this line over here. And the same thing applies for Breeze Dark. But if we go to Breeze Classic, it's gone. It's kind of like the old style. Now, I don't know what their plans are. I don't know if they plan on keeping it the old way. By the way, this is a glitch, or a bug, should I say, that is still present for some reason. When you click on this hamburger menu right here, for some reason it looks like that. I don't know why. Also, speaking of consistency, I feel like I don't know why the search text is missing when the split text is here. I think that they should make it either the text gone for both of them, or present for both of them for consistency. Also, let me just enable blur real quick, because that's kind of hard to read for some of the menus. But yeah, you know, I do find it kind of interesting, to say the least, how Breeze Classic is deemed to be like an official color scheme, yet it doesn't have the changes that these other ones do, Breeze Dark and Breeze Light. So a feature that was present in 5.23 are these colors here. And now you have an option for custom color options here. So let's just choose red, and I want to talk about the consistency of this as well. So as you can see, when you select your color, it changes not only the accent color, which the default went from blue to red across the board, but also on top of that, the folders support this too. And even the system settings, I don't know if you can see that, but it turned from this default blue to red right here at the bottom, which is pretty cool. I think that's a really nice feature. And the cool thing about this is if we take a look at the folder icons, this is for the default Breeze, but there are some third-party icons that support this as well already, which is really nice. And excuse me, there's this one icon theme called Papyrus, which if you download the colors version, the same thing applies for it. You have a different color scheme and different folder icons, but they support this color feature change as well. So this is great, you know, in terms of consistency. Plasma is becoming, with every release, more and more consistent, and I'm loving that. More and more stable, and I'm loving that as well. But I do have a gripe with this feature. Now, it seems pretty fine, but if we go over the dark theme, as you can see, the colors are kind of wonky. So the colors are kind of darker. It just doesn't, you know, from the original color that we selected, it looks very different. I understand why they did this. This is so that in terms of clarity, and I'll show you an example of this if we type in, oh, there it is, VLC Media Player. You'll see that this darkening effect doesn't really apply. Over here for the menu bar, you can see that the color is lighter, which for this color it's fine. But if we were to choose something really bright, like let's say a very bright yellow, then it really ruins the readability. Whereas if you compare it to here, the readability is fine. Now, there are pros and cons to this. Like, it improves the readability, but it kind of messes up the colors. Like, this looks kind of like a greenish yellow. It looks kind of bad, to be honest. I don't like it. But this, on the other hand, is too bright. Now, if we switch to the light theme, you know, the effect doesn't really get applied here. So it's consistent. But this is the thing with, you know, giving users options, right? Part of kind of the design philosophy of, say, Mac OS is like these options right here. They give you a set of options. You can choose between them, but you can't choose anything else, right? And this is because they know that the options they've given are going to work fine, you know, in terms of readability, in terms of, you know, usefulness, or I mean usability, my bad. But when you go with colored, like custom options, let's say we choose white, I mean, this, you know, oops, this really ruins the usability here. Like, when I select this, you literally can't even read the text. And like I was trying to showcase here, what they've been doing is they try to mitigate that using these effects, but honestly, I don't even know if there's a point. There's really no point, because as I've demonstrated, if the user wants, you know, to just ruin the usability, it's not going to matter, right? Like if I choose like white, for example, or a very bright color, it's going to ruin part of the usability. So that's something to take into consideration, you know, when it comes to improving this feature. But it is a great feature and great addition nonetheless. But yeah, so for this example, let's just go with the default light theme. Actually, let's do the dark theme, because I recently did a poll and 70% of people said they prefer dark themes, at least on YouTube, but I figure it's easier on the eyes, so let's roll with that. Alright, now the other feature that I've been really excited to talk about is the overview effect. Now you can go in the desktop effects and type in overview, and here it is. I believe that, yes, so the shortcut for this is meta. In case you don't know what meta or super is, it's the Windows key. If you're using a standard keyboard, the Windows key and W. And as you can see, it shows all the windows that you have open. And on the top here, it shows desktops, and you can add more desktops, which, by the way, in case you didn't know, this pager feature right here is enabled by default. It's just that they have enabled only one desktop by default. That's why you typically can't see it. But yeah, you know, the feature works as expected. I apologize if it's kind of sluggish. I am using a virtual machine right now, but we can move these to different virtual desktops, and with ease, we can access each virtual desktop, and it appears here as well, so we could just easily go through them. And that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. The feature looks great. It works as expected. You have a little trash icon here if you want to get rid of some of the virtual desktops. You have a search feature as well, which, let's look up VLC. Kind of have like a mini KRunner feature built in. And let's see here. You still have your panel, but it's not really usable. Like if you click on it, it just kind of gets rid of the effect. And really, if you click on any of the blur space here, it gets rid of it. But yeah, that's a pretty exciting effect. So yeah, I think that in terms of polish, in terms of stability, you know, I personally use KDE Neon. I don't experience any problems. Typically, you know, occasionally I might run into something, but typically it's pretty stable. So they've been, you know, shout out to the KDE devs. They've been doing a great job at delivering a consistent product. And yeah, I just want to mention a couple things though. One thing that I just think doesn't make sense. Now this part of the video is just going to be me kind of going on a rant when it comes to user interface design and consistency. I personally think that what they've done, I can't believe they're still keeping these defaults. What they've done with the terminal here is, to say the least, kind of ugly. I mean, if you do Control-Shift-M, you can hide the menu, which, you know, if they have maybe a hamburger icon by default, you know, to allow you to access the menu, that'd be fine. If they want to keep this these tabs over here, I just feel like it takes up so much vertical space. I mean, my monitor is 1920 by 1080, but if you're using this on a laptop with like something that's 1366 by 768, I mean, this takes up so much space. Like it takes up so much vertical space for no reason. And yes, you can remove it. That's the main beauty of KDE Plasma. In fact, you can remove the menu as well. And now it doesn't take up any vertical space. I'm just kind of thinking, like, if they really want these toolbars to be kept by default, it's just, maybe they could do something with it. Like, let's see, if we make the icon size small by default, that takes up less space. Again, maybe move the menu into like a hamburger menu that takes up even less space. This looks much more acceptable than what it was by default. Another thing is these don't have to be locked, so you could put them at the bottom. And if we put them at the bottom, and let's say we keep the menu open, this looks much more balanced. In fact, let me change the color here so there's more contrast. This looks a lot more acceptable and a lot nicer on the eyes while retaining features without having to make it look too heavily focused on one side. I mean, you know, if we put this back to the defaults, right? You took a look at and saw what it could potentially look like using its defaults. But if we take a look at the actual defaults, this just takes up too much space. And it's too focused right here at the top. So I think that maybe they should look at the defaults, you know, looking into the future. Or maybe, hey, it's still in testing phase. Maybe they could ship Plasma 5.24 by default with those kind of defaults for the terminal. But yeah, you know, if you want to play around with the Plasma 5.24 beta, you can go ahead and just type in KDE Plasma 5.24 beta. It's going to be the first link. Again, I'll have the link to this in the description. Well, another cool thing to worth mentioning is now that I have the dark theme enabled, you can take a look. The website adapts to your main system theme, which is pretty cool. But yeah, you know, you could read all these change logs, see what's new, see what's different. You could try out even see the performance on Wayland, see how it works. And yeah, you go to Live Images, click on the first link. There it is. It tells you what ships with the beta and where you can test this out on. So yeah, that was it for this video. Hopefully I can make something else before the actual release, talk about that, and I'll be making a full-blown review and talk about that soon. So that was pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.